thank you so much for having me. This is so cool. I am happy to spend the 4th of July with you. Maybe you're not aware of some of our customs on the 4th of July. One of them that sticks out is a hot dog eating contest. And I've been traveling the world, and a lot of people think that they know what a hot dog is. They even think that they have their own version of a hot dog. And as I've traveled the world, I can honestly say that no, you don't. Because you all here, I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, but you have bratwurst. That's not hot dog at all. That's good. You have to understand, to make a hot dog, like bratwurst is beef or veal. It's a meat with herbs and spices in it, cooked well. A hot dog, especially in America, a hot dog is something that to make you first have to find. And when I say find, I mean like putting together a proper hot dog in its casing and to serve is a lot like a witch's spell. You have to find meat that's first on the floor. It's very important this meat is on the floor. If the meat is not on the floor, you might not be making a hot dog. You have to find this meat that's on the floor. You have to couple it all together. You have to push it through this machine. And bratwurst, once again, beef, veal, you can only hold together a proper hot dog with hate and like a touch, like a dash, just a little bit of poverty, right? So you have some hate, you have, you can get a side of anger in there too. And then you put it together into a hot dog, you wrap it up nicely so it looks like it might be edible. Because I don't know if you've had a hot dog. In order to prepare a hot dog, it's not like preparing a bratwurst. You have to boil a hot dog. And in order to boil the hot dog, it means you do have to ruin some water. You put the hot dog in the water, you boil it up, that cooks the hot dog. Cooks is a strong word. What are you cooking? It's demon meat. But you boil the hot dog up, so then you pull it out, that's cooked. You then put it in a bun to cover up that you're eating a hot dog. The water you have to dispose of like toxic waste. A lot of people will pour this down the sink. Don't do that. Don't get that mixed in with the regular. When I was little, I had a friend who his mom had a flower garden, and he'd make hot dogs after school, and then he'd pour the water in the hot dog garden, and all of the flowers died. Because that is runoff poison water. But yeah, you boil a hot dog and then you eat it. And when you eat it, you're supposed to close your eyes and pretend you're chewing something else. Because this is going to be nasty. You can try to dress it up with mustard, ketchup, with mayo relish, with whatever manner of things people do. Some people will act really, really holier than thou about how they prepare their hot dog, as if a hot dog is not a mystery of meat mushed together. I say all that because on the 4th of July, there is a hot dog eating contest that takes place, and The winner this year, once again, is a man named Joey Chestnut. And this year, he ate 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes, which is the correct response. You know how I said that when you felt physically ill? That's how you're supposed to feel on the 4th of July after eating as many hot dogs as possible. I believe the record is 76 hot dogs. And I remember one time I had my buddy entered a hot dog eating contest, and he was super excited about it. And he had watched Kobayashi, he had watched Joey Chestnut, and he thought he could do it too. He was like, if they can do it, I can do it. Let's give it a try, right? And so he entered the hot dog eating contest, and it wasn't like the official Nathan's hot dog. It was just like a local one that was happening on 4th of July. And he entered the contest, sat down with the other contestants, and then over the course of 10 minutes, my friend ate 2. This man ate 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes. We were watching it like, when is he gonna kick into gear? Like, when is it? There are other people that are literally like swallowing hot dogs like, as fast as possible. There was one dude that was this was incredible. He was screaming hot dogs down, right? He was like, oh! Meanwhile, our buddy, hot dogs in 10 minutes. We went from cheering to booing. We started out supportive. Initially, we were like, yeah, get him, you can do it. And then, when it was clear he couldn't, we were like, stop, you wasting a hot dog. When he got done, we asked him, hey, what happened? We drove you here. You the one wanted to go way out the way to enter this contest to waste everybody's time. 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes is not a contest, that's a meal. What's wrong with you? And he was like, I panicked. What are you panicking about? He's like, I saw everybody else do it, and they were so fast. I was like, how are they not choking? And then I remembered I might choke, so then I started chewing extra. I was scared to choke. I was like, if you had at least choked, then 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes would be more reasonable. You got people over here fighting to get hot dogs now. He over here chewing responsibly. I do my best when I go anywhere to be as good of a guest as I can. You know, it means a lot to me to have me over here and for me to be your guest for a little while. I've been looking forward to this trip for a long time. And I'm always a little tense when I'm a guest, though. You know, even if it's just visiting a friend's house, you want to be a good guest. You don't want to leave and then have them be like, never again. You know, like I get nervous to be seen as a bad guest. I don't want anything to go wrong. Like I've had to stay over, you know, for a couple nights at friends' houses, and they're like, "Oh, make yourself at home. What's mine is yours." I feel like that's a trap. You know, because you really make yourself at home and then you find out how much they mean it later. It's like, I'd rather just act like I shouldn't be in here at all. Quiet as a mouse, you know. I'll just act like I broke in and just try to affect as little as possible in the home. And they'll be like, what? He's such a good guest. We didn't even know he was here. One time I got so stressed out about being a guest at my friend's house while they were out of town that I just never went. And they were like, Josh, our apartment looks amazing. Did you do all this cleaning before you left? I was like, yep, you know it. Wanted to leave it better than I found it, you know. Because even being the guest at a party, that's like a short-term guest. When you're just there for the party, you're just there, you know, a few hours, maybe half the day if it goes long. And I'm terrified to be a bad guest there. I just don't want to be remembered in a bad light. And there was this one time where I went to a friend's party, and I'm not great at parties to begin with. You know, I'm very much in the corner, or if I know one person at the party, that will be the person that I'm talking to the entire party. Like it will be a burden on them. Sometimes I see a friend that I know at a party and no one else, and I'm like, ooh, you about to have a bad time at this party. I hate that for you. I'm very sorry. But it's either talk to you or talk to a stranger, and come on. And so, you know, I was at this party, and my friend who actually invited me to the party was late. We were supposed to meet up together, and I misunderstood the text message. I thought they were already in there. So I knock on the door, I meet the host, I tell him, you know, oh, I'm friends with, and then he lets me in, which is a huge mistake. Because now I'm just sort of standing awkwardly while other people have a great time. And so I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? This is the fail safe. Every time you need a break from social interaction, or you just need to get your bearings together because you're in a public place and you're sort of freaking out, you go to the bathroom. The bathroom is the safe haven, right? And so I walk to the bathroom, I close the door behind me, and it's a little dim in the bathroom, but I use the bathroom, right? Other reason to go. And as I'm stepping away from the toilet, I hear this little crunch, like under my feet, and I look at it, and it's all of this glass under my feet, and it looks like the actual light bulb either popped or broke or something, and then now I've stepped in it. And as I really start to look around the bathroom, I realize that it is an absolute disaster in there. It is horrifically bad. So the bathroom mirror is smashed. I didn't notice it at first when I walked in, and the glass is in the sink, and there's a little bit of blood in the sink, right? And so I'm standing there, and I look over at the tub, and the shower curtain is pulled back, and there's a fur coat in the tub. And I'm like, all these things are too much for one thing. You know what I mean? Like this would be a shutting the bathroom down for a short period of time at the party if just one of them happened, and all of them are happening right now. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. I flush. That's as much as I can clean up right now. And then I'm a bit panicked, so I get ready to just get out of the bathroom, because if I can get out scot-free, if no one sees me come out of the bathroom, someone else can address this thing, because I don't know anyone here. My only friend is late, and the host has just seen me once. So I get ready to, I don't even, admittedly, this is gross, sorry, but I wasn't even gonna wash my hands, because I was like, there's a whole bunch of blood in there anyway. They'd be dirtier than when they were unwashed. And so I get ready to pull on the doorknob, and I hear a knock. And I can't open the door. There's no way I could open the door and be like, all yours. You know? It's crazy in there. And so I hear the knock, and I think to myself, oh no. There's no way. First of all, if you need to go to the bathroom, the last thing you want is for someone to open the door and be like, all right, before you get in there, I just want you to know none of this is my fault, okay? Before you walk in with judgment, just know anything can happen to anybody at any point. Like, if you had been a little quicker with your feet, this would have been you, okay? I don't know what to do as I'm just standing there. And I'm admittedly standing there for like way too long. Like, and I hear a knock again. And I'm like, all right, I gotta do something. I gotta buy myself some time. And so I just say, 1 second. That's bought me 1 second. I have to use it wisely. And in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, I could try to clean up. I'm over here in my head freaking out, because this is my worst nightmare. I'm gonna look like a terrible guest. I'm at a party where I don't know anybody, and I'm gonna look like I destroyed this bathroom. And so I'm Googling all types of stuff. I'm over here Googling, does glass flush? Like, does glass flush? How fast can you get blood out of the sink? If you were to look at my Google search history on this night, it would look like I definitely killed someone. Or at least a small animal. Because I was also Googling, like, does fur disintegrate? Like, and so, I just spent another minute and a half sweating and freaking out. And then I hear a knock, but this knock is like thicker. It's just like strong. It's clearly a different knock. It's clearly a different person. And that person is like, hey, come on, people waiting. I'm like, people? People are waiting. Okay, all right. People implies more than one person, which does imply, plural, and plural could just be two. It could just be the initial guy that knocked and is very patient, or maybe left, who knows. Maybe he had to use the bathroom so bad that he left the party completely. But this person is adamant, hey, I gotta get in there, right? And he said, people are waiting. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, 2 people are waiting. And then he yells out, you got a line out here. What's happening in there? And I looked down at my phone, and I had been in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. Like, I had let this go way too far. And so I froze. I didn't know what to do at all. It's like your absolute worst nightmare as a person that's like gets weird in like social interactions, to actually have this weird thing happen to you is like, I think maybe this is hell. I think maybe I've died. And so I'm pacing back and forth in the bathroom, which is only breaking more light bulb glass. And I finally look out of the little window, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to leave. Like, I'm gonna have to jump out of the window. And in my panic, I forgot that we were on the first floor. So it wasn't like a big jump or anything, but I did have to climb out of a window that wasn't man-sized. Luckily, neither am I. I was squeezing my hips at an angle, like I put my hips diagonal to the edges of the window to get as much space as possible, and I wiggled out. I fell out of the window, and I tried as much as I could to pull the window back up from outside so that people wouldn't be like, oh, whoever it was went out the window. And then I was like, what do I do though? What if someone saw me go in, remembers me perfectly even though they don't know me, and could point me out, because I wear the same thing every day. And so I'm like, the only option I have is to go back in. Is to go back in and join the line for the bathroom. And so I walk around the house, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, all I gotta do is watch out for the host. His host was greeting me when I first walked in. As long as the host has got to that point in the party where they're not greeting everybody and they're not answering the door every time, I should be good. And so I wait. Some other people were arriving, and they knock on the door. Someone else opens the door. I'm like, this is my chance. I sneak in behind those two other people, and I immediately walk to the line for the bathroom. And luckily, my buddy who was late was in the back of the line, and he's like, can you just believe this? I do my best to be like a good house guest, and especially when I travel, because when I travel, I have to do it as an American. I have to travel as an American now. And it's I'm traveling more than I ever have in my life, experiencing new places for the first time. But one thing that I will say is, okay, there used to be a time where you would travel when you were from the U.S. You would go to other places, and you would say that you were from the U.S., and people, there was a shine to it. There genuinely was this magnificent shine around you and your passport. People had questions for you. You would say you were from the U.S. and they'd be like, oh, blue jeans. Wow. And then over time, the shine started to wear off a little bit, the way that we were perceived on the world stage started to change, and you would tell people that you were from the U.S. and they'd be like, oh yes, yeah, Beyonce. And now, you travel the world, and look, people ask me. I don't go around telling everyone my business all the time. People ask me, hell, where are you from? And I go, oh, it's... you know, is American. And they're like, what? What? I didn't hear that. Oh, you know, is United States. What? I'm American. I'm from the U.S. From America. And I've traveled these past 2 weeks to Paris, Dublin, Brussels, Antwerp, now here, and there is a similarity. This happened more in Brussels and Antwerp than anywhere else, but it has also happened here where people will ask me where I'm visiting from, and then I will tell them. And there's a look and a noise you make that's genuinely offensive. Like it is. Once again, you asked me. I didn't say anything. I walk into the shop. Y'all are the ones, you know, asking questions and stuff. And then I say that I'm from the U.S. I'm visiting from America. And then you go, oh. You get the face or you get the noise. You don't get both. Oh, I grew up in Louisiana, right? And when I was, sure. And when I was in Louisiana, you know, I have friends who live in all different parts of the state. And one of my friends, he actually lives he's in like a rural area. He's in like, you know, some swamp area near the bayou and everything. There's a bunch of things floating in the water, a bunch of predators out there. You know, he does his hunting. He comes back home. That's mainly how he sustains himself and everything. And there was one time he was having a barbecue. A bunch of friends came over, and one of his buddies, his buddy Spence, came over and was having a cigarette off by himself. He walked off away from the barbecue to have his cigarette, and then sometime later he comes back over, and in the back door, the way that a lot of the houses are built in Louisiana is you have your door and you have your screen door, and the screen door can keep out the bugs while also letting air flow into the home and everything. And so he pops his head near the screen door, and his head only, and Spence leans in and he says, hey, can you call an ambulance? And our friend is like, what? Why? If anyone ever asks you to call an ambulance, just do it right away. Like, I'm sure that they have a good reason. I'm sure they're not just getting you to do it for fun because they want to hear the siren. I think that they probably need some help. And so he's like, if you could just call him, that'd be great. Can you please just call him? You know, and he's being very calm. And so our friend walks up and pokes his head out of the screen door, and he sees that Spence, though calm, is standing there, and there is a baby alligator around his foot. And that's the way you look at me when I tell you that I'm from the U.S. Now, coming here at a time where tourism in the U.S. is way down. Yeah, people aren't coming to visit as often. It's like if you know, people used to love to come visit all the time, and then something happened. It'd be like if you went over to your friend's house all the time growing up, and then one day you stopped going, and your friend was like, why? Why wouldn't you just come over like you used to? Come hang out. And you're like, oh, well, last time I was there, your dad threw a plate at my head, so I think I'm good coming over for a while. You know? And so tourism is down in the U.S. People are choosing other places to go, and one of the main places that they're choosing to come is to Europe. It's all these places, like, you know, some people will come to Berlin. A lot of it is happening in Spain with Barcelona and Madrid, in Italy, you know, in Paris as well. And it's getting to the point where there's so much tourism, people are actually calling it like over-tourism. You know, and this is happening at the same time as like massive heat waves. Like wild heat waves, some of which we've never seen before. It's never been as hot as it is now. It's very hot. Luckily, not here today. But this week you had, you know, one of your hottest days on record. I can't even imagine what that must have been like, because you all are like fit people. Like, you get on bikes to go put. You have to understand, my frame of reference is the U.S. So the fact that you're even walking next to a bike is leaps and bounds. You know, I can't imagine trying to ride a bike in that heat, or running. Some of you run. And so that's wild that this level of like over tourism is happening at the same time as this heat wave. And there are people in Paris, there are people in Spain and Italy that have had enough. They're losing it over this. You know, they're protesting the tourists. They're over here being like, stop it. Stop coming here right now. Talk amongst yourselves and spread it out throughout the year or something. But this is too much. You know, you have places like, I could be wrong about these numbers, but I think in Barcelona you have like 1.6 million people living there, but like 26 million people visit throughout the year. That's wild. I understand that if you live in Barcelona and you're trying to ride your bike, eventually you're like, get out of the way! No. And then if you live in Barcelona, you're tired of all these tours everywhere all the time, and you start freaking out. You might get a reputation for being a little bit rude to tourists, and then you'll be New York. No. But people are doing the best they can to protest. There's been all these different types. People get creative and stuff. There's one where they were shooting tourists with water guns throughout the day. You know, get out of here! Ah! You know, like when a dog tries to pee on the carpet. You know, you know? Although as far as protests go, you can tell that these are like good people doing the protesting, because that's what you came with, water guns. For water gun. I don't know. I'm coming from the U.S. where it would have just been guns. Like this. You can tell these are people who have a deep moral core, because you used water guns to protest tourists during a heat wave. They probably didn't even understand what was happening. You know what I mean? They were probably over here like, oh, the Spanish are so hospitable. They saw how hot we were. And then some strangers we didn't even know were like, ah, cooling us off. You know, and I get the genuine frustration though, but this is the main problem, is that whether it's business or whether it's government, systems have a magnificent way of pitting us against each other. Like, there are people that are local that are upset, because obviously with all this tourism, Airbnbs are shooting up. Airbnbs raise the price of living in the area, so then people are getting priced out of their homes. They're getting priced out of the areas that they grew up in. They have to find somewhere else to live, all for people who don't live here, who are just coming to peak, and then they head home. And that can be incredibly frustrating, but that's the people who are coming to visit didn't come up with a master plan. Airbnb and the government that allows Airbnb to run rampant are the people to blame. You should be taking, like, if you're gonna take anger out on anybody, it should be the local government and the Airbnb that allows it to run rampant. You should be using the water guns on the computers at the, because I think that's the main way that systems get to stay intact. They see this, Airbnb sees it, and local government sees it, and they're like, well, we get to rake in money while the people that live here blame somebody else. Why would we ever change our practices? And I don't really know what the exact fix is. I remember when Airbnb was like at your house. There was a time early in Airbnb's history where you were just renting a room in someone's house, and so they lived there. And then they collected the money from you staying with them, like a little mini hotel. But that was like easier, because then they lived here, so they cared about the home, they cared about the community, and you got to get a taste of like local life. And you could even ask them, hey, is there anywhere I should go to eat? And they would tell you, this is where we're going to eat tonight. And sometimes you would actually have a meal with your host. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing. And then like private equity and more money got involved, and so it ruined it. Because now an Airbnb is also like sometimes worse than a hotel, because they'll let the person who owns the Airbnb set the rules. So now you have someone setting these insane rules for the Airbnb. Like, you can't just check out. You can't just take your trash, put it outside, and leave. There are all these rules. Like, you have to make sure to wash the cabinets, wash all the dishes and everything, wipe everything down, give our dog a bath. Also, you don't get charged a cleaning fee that you end up getting charged anyway, because in the small print, it was like, pick up our kid from school. And you didn't see that part. So now you're spending all this money on Airbnb to just go somewhere nice like Italy. And then you get to Italy and everyone's mad at you for visiting Italy, but you're also mad because you're like, the rules in this Airbnb say I have to buy this house before I leave. I just want to be fun. Like, I'm not fun. As a guy, I'm not a fun guy. I want to be so bad. I'll see people having fun and be like, that looks dope. And I'll tell you this, there's nothing less fun than catching somebody watch you have fun. Because that happens to me all the time. There are times where I'm standing to the side and I'm watching somebody have fun. And no matter what you're doing that's fun, if you catch somebody watching you have fun, you stop. You stop immediately what you're doing. You'll be having fun. Whether you're dancing, you be riding go-karts, whatever. And then you just see someone off to the side like me, like, yeah. You look like you're having a good time. You were immediately not having a good time. It's the worst. It's so bad. I hate it. I don't like being the one to do. I didn't know that when you at a party and people are dancing and you are not dancing, you watching them dance. I didn't know you're supposed to move your head to the rhythm. I didn't know you're supposed to move your head to the rhythm side to side. I didn't know that's what we were doing. Like when people are dancing and they're over there, you're like, yeah, I didn't know it was that. I've done two very off things. One, I didn't know I was supposed to move my head if I was watching people dance, and I was supposed to move my head to the beat. So one time there were these people dancing, and then they caught me watching them have fun, but I was being completely still. And that is also heroin. You know what I mean? Like, you really getting it, and then somebody off to the side against the wall is like, yeah. Keep doing that. It's very upsetting, you know? And like I said, I didn't know we were supposed to move our head side to side. So then there was another time I was like, okay, I'm supposed to move my head to the beat. So then I was moving my head to the beat, but I was going back and forth. And that is also unsettling to watch. You're dancing, and somebody's like, yeah, to the rhythm, yes. Yeah, get it, get it. I just want to be fun. I want to be fun. Like, Brazilians are very fun. Brazilians as a people, they have incredible music, beautiful dancing, they're beautiful people, and they know how to have fun. I read about a guy who was so fun. This guy partied for 4 days straight. 4 full days of party. He partied from New Year's Eve well into the new year. So first and then 3 days. He partied for 4 days straight without realizing he had been shot in the head. That's a fun guy. That's a very, very fun individual, you know? This dude got shot in the head and went to more parties and was more fun. If I get shot, I don't know about y'all, but if I get shot in the head, I die. All right? Maybe that's just how I was raised, but like, I don't get shot in the head and keep carrying on twerking. I go to another plane where the mortal coil cannot follow, all right? This dude got shot in the head and went to more parties and was progressively more fun per party. If I get shot in the head, that is everybody's problem. I'll tell you that right now. If I got shot in the head tonight, we are all going to the hospital. Please believe me. And I will be calling out individuals if I see you try to peel off. I'm like, no, Cindy, I need you. This man was shot in the head. And we don't even know the circumstances of him getting shot in the head. I was reading about it. Nobody knows this. Okay, I came up with some theories because no one knew. I think that maybe, you know how guys can be at a party, you're out here dancing or you're walking with your drink, somebody bumps into you, doesn't apologize. Now we have a problem, right? So now you get nose to nose trying to get them to apologize. Then you get loud and everybody's watching. And then you get like fully, you know, like when dudes do this, like this full on in my face, our noses are touching. This is always weird. Anytime I see this, I'm like, y'all should just kiss. It would make more sense if you kiss right now. Because this is the thing. If he's here and I'm here, he could still really, he could choke me, he could do anything, right? Like, this is real fighting could happen right here. Here, you're a little too close. Here, there really isn't anything you would punch us if you punch me right now. And so maybe, you know, they got into it, they got nose to nose or whatever, they were ready to fight. And then maybe this dude was like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do has got more people killed than any other sentence in language. It goes, what you gonna do, followed closely by, I wouldn't take that if I was you. It's like, those two are deadly, right? So then, maybe he goes, what you gonna do? And then the other guy pulls out a gun and shot him in the head, and then he went, rude, and then walked about his business, because clearly it didn't matter. He had been shot in the head. The head is where they keep all the brains. I don't know how this man was shot in his head and didn't know. I mean, look, what I think actually happened is that he was probably getting twerked on. Twerking is very distracting. If you're getting twerked on by the right person, you won't notice anything else happening in the room. He was probably like, girl, you getting it. Oh my God, you really getting it. You really getting it. Don't worry about that. This was a loud noise, baby girl. Keep doing what you do. No, it's wild. They asked him at the hospital. when he finally went to the hospital, they were like, "You've clearly been shot in the head. What did you think happened?" And he was like, "Oh, I thought I got hit in the head with a rock." That's the most shot in the head thing to say I've ever heard in my entire. You know, like when you at a party and you having a good time and everybody just starts throwing rocks. You know that common occurrence that happens at every party where everybody's having fun, we're all dancing, and then that one guy goes pebbles for everybody. You know that thing that happens all the time to each and every one of us. Thought you got hit in the head with a rock. What? Only reason he went to the hospital is that his arm was spasmic. But he didn't even go right away. He was probably getting twerked on in the moment. It was like, "Girl, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, girl. You're really getting it. Oh my God. That's amazing. Everything you're doing is great." They finally stopped dancing after like a day. I don't know. And then she was like, "Where do you live? Let's go back to your place." He was like, "Girl, I live over there." And she was like, "Where?" He's like, "I'm pointing right at it, girl." She's like, "What's wrong with your arm?" He's like, "Oh, this has been happening for 3 days, girl." I saw this video of this guy who was at a white guy in Alabama that was at a Bass Pro Shop. So far, whole story checks out, right? So far, nothing is out of the ordinary, right? And this dude is very much on drugs. I don't know what drugs, but I know drugs, right? He's on drugs. Now the story starts in the parking lot. He drives up to the Bass Pro Shop, and he immediately drives his car into a light pole at the Bass Pro Shop in the parking lot, and then he backs up and does it 8 more times, chops it down like a tree, right? And then he gets out and walks in the Bass Pro Shop. So you already know my man is ready to play. And so walks in the Bass Pro Shop. The video starts where it starts, so I don't know what happened in between. I don't know when he got naked. All I know is this dude. The video starts with this dude, and he just been doing cannonballs into the Bass Pro Shop fish tank. So these fish are all compromised, all right? So he is doing naked cannonballs over and over again. He getting deep, and I'd like to think they called the police when he got naked, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they were like, "Let's see what he does." And so my man is just climbing up, dunking, and then you can tell he's on drugs because he's speaking drugs, right? Because then in the video, he swims to the front of the tank and he's like, and when I heard that, I was like, that's drugs. That's not the native tongue of any land. And so the police come. So now we're going to switch for a second from people recording him on their phones to the police body cam, right? So police show up. They see him in the fish tank, and they see him, and he waved to them. It's not really phased. And so then they are trying to figure out how he got up there. So then they go ahead and they start climbing up some of the rocks, right? So then they turn, police body cam, they turn, and when they turn to him in the tank, he's gone. And so you're like, okay, he on drugs, but is he magic? Because that's a different situation. Can you imagine if a magician is on drugs? David Blaine already liked that. Imagine David Blaine on drugs. That'd be a problem. Make you feel like you on drugs. And so then he's gone. He's gone because even though he's on drugs, he had the presence of mind that, hey, that's the police. They probably won't talk to me. And so then he jumped out of the tank. But the tank is like 18 feet high, right? So this man, naked, jumped out of the tank just onto the ground, and he landed Family Guy style, right? So this dude has knocked himself out on the ground, right? And he laying over here like this, like he just fully passed out. And you can even hear a cop through another cop's body cam turn, and he's not there, and then they see him on the ground, and you hear another cop go, "Oh shit." And then they come down. Now this man is like fully out, right? But he is on drugs. And so the drugs do wake him up just in time because now the cops are over him, right? I don't know if they had actually grabbed his wrist yet or anything, but this dude immediately wakes up on drugs, flips over, and kicks one of the cops in the balls, right? So that cop goes down. I don't know the code for it, but he's not getting back up for a minute, okay? And now the cops are all have bent knees because they're like, okay, we got a live one here. Like, he got a lot of fight in him, right? And I almost never feel bad for the police, but in this instance, I'm not gonna lie, I feel pretty bad for those officers because they try to catch a dude who is on drugs and naked and wet, so he is very hard to catch. Basically impossible. Because every time they grab this man, he over here like, no, no, thank you. Oh, no jail for me, no. And he's slippery as a fish, so they really can't get a hold of him. No, jail doesn't feel nice. No, I don't want it. It is horrible because then there's really nothing to grab, and I'm telling you, because he was naked in the tank and we saw it, there's nothing to grab, right? So they are fighting to catch this dude. They finally get a hold of him because I think they just been drying him off this whole time. You know what I mean? Through the entire scuffle, and they finally get him handcuffed, and they're walking him out. And as they're walking about, this is back on people's phones now. As they're walking about, he walking past people who've been recording him on their phones, and he's going, Now this next part is not on camera. I had to read about this. They take him outside, they put him in the back of the cop car, and this is the first time where even though he is on drugs, he's not having a good time. Because now he in the back of the cop car going, this feels unfair. And then on drugs, he starts kicking the door, and because he's on drugs, even though he got a naked, wet foot, he is so strong that he is kicking the car door so hard, he is warping the metal, right? And I saw that, and I was like, he must kick that cop's dick off. Like, that's horrible. Police had to come out and make a statement the next day where they were like, we hope that his actions on camera will lead to better decisions in the future. Also, we expect Officer Ortiz to make a full recovery. I try to be a good friend to my friends with anxiety, because I have anxiety too, but like, it's hard to really be there for someone with anxiety because they're right. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you ever really listen to an anxious person talk, they're making some very salient points. Like, their points are actually so good, it's starting to jack up my anxiety because I was like, fuck, I didn't think about that. Oh no! That's the worst. I'll tell you this, one time a friend called me, and he was not doing well at all. And he was telling me how he wanted to, end it and everything. And then just started describing to me everything that was wrong in his life. And as I listened to my friend, I realized that we had the same life. And I'd be lying if I said I'd get a little defensive. Because he over here telling me, he's like, I can't do it anymore. I'm a grown man eating TV dinners every night. And I'm like, well, baby, you doing your best, all right?
It's like I'm doing open mics every night to a bunch of people who just feel like I'm bothering them while they try to watch the game. I'm like, well, maybe you gonna get better one day. It's weird how much anxiety there is over the election. Like truly nobody's happy. Like everybody's like, You even feel how it got in here? Everybody was like bummed out. You know? It's odd, right? Because it's like a rematch nobody wanted. It feels really, really crazy. That's why, if I'm being honest with you, I try to think a lot about how to solve big problems, right? And I'm not a doctor. I'm not an engineer. I'm not even helpful, all right? But I think about how to solve big problems. And I think that in this scenario, and I want to be clear where I'm coming from. I'm not like, I mean this across the board, you know? I grew up in Louisiana. I lived in Chicago. I live in New York now. I travel around the country. I'm not just speaking with like some partisan idea in mind. I'm saying I think that for this election, and just this one, right? For this one election, that the presidential race should be a race. Because no matter who wins, I think we will be more astonished than upset. You know what I mean? Like, no matter who wins, we're gonna be like, I didn't know he had it in him. That's wild. I don't know if y'all saw it yet, but Justin Timberlake got arrested. Justin Timberlake got arrested for a DWI in what he was in the Hamptons. How fast do you have to be going as a white man in the Hamptons to get pulled over? Because I was reading the story and this man gets pulled over, and then I guess his friends noticed that he left or whatever, so then they also left, and then they saw him getting pulled over, so they pulled up and they were trying to like beg the cop to cut him a break. They're like, you know, he's I don't know if he was close to home, but they were like making excuses for him. And in my head, even in that moment, I was like, why didn't y'all give him a ride? Like, that's Justin Timberlake is so rich. How do you have all that money and you don't have a driver? That's crazy. That's so irresponsible. You got all the NSYNC money. Could have hired one of them to drive. I was reading the story. It was heartbreaking. Not even as a, you know, I don't know what's happening. I truly don't. I truly have no idea. But like, that shit sounded like an attack. God, who makes that their alarm? God damn. That's the most savage. It feels like my high school bully came to the show. That is wild. No, you're fine. You know, life happens, but you gotta pick a different one, because that feels so crazy. Because the first time I heard it, I was like, maybe I'm a little too hot in this hoodie. Maybe I'm about to faint because I feel like I'm outside right now. And then I heard it again, I was like, nah, that's crickets. That's... Jeez, what? I didn't know we had beef like that. You were over here like...
And I'm gonna sit in the front too. I got his ass. No. No, I got him. Damn, no, it feels like an ex paid you. That is so wild. No, I'm gonna wait till he think he making one of his little points. No, I got his ass. Oh God. Oh. No. I don't know. I feel weird about it. I feel like maybe you look at Justin Timberlake and whatever hex Britney Spears put on is working. It's working overtime. And fame is a very interesting thing. Fame is a mystery. It really is. Because Justin Timberlake is doing an arena tour. A whole arena tour. But when he got pulled over and they asked him to step out of the car, the cop didn't know who he was. The cop didn't know who he was because the cop was too young. And I don't know about you, but that hurt me. I was reading the article and it said that the cop was too young to know, and I think I got 3 wrinkles on my knuckles. Right then, I was like, Oh, it was absolutely insane. Doesn't know who he was. Like if only Justin had been pulled over by a single mom of 2. You know what I mean? Just a millennial single mom of 2. She would have been like, I'll give you a ride. Come on, Justin. No, put the lights on and everything. Woo, woo, we gotta get Justin home. Then they took that man to jail to take a picture. That picture, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's not an album cover. That face that Justin made is the most encapsulating face of a man in trouble I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like you can see in his eyes, he thinking about how he'll have to call Jessica. Whoa, that was wild. And then, this is my conspiracy theory. There's nothing to back up what I'm saying. There's not a shred of evidence, and there's not a word from anyone that backs up what I'm saying. But I think. Okay, do y'all remember Justin? You remember that decade that Justin wanted to be black? Do you remember that? Do you remember that decade that Justin was like, ladies? Y'all remember that, right? That I feel like at first when he got there and they flashed the picture, and also I'm sure that they turned the brightness up extra on mug shots because like people who you could tell were ready don't look ready when they take the picture. That thing is so bright, it must be prolonged, make you open your eyes to be like, huh. Like it's. I think after he took the picture and he's also sobering up a bit, he was like, wait. This is just street cred. Let me go ahead and milk it, right? Because there have been varying reports on whether or not Justin was handcuffed, right? And personally, my conspiracy, I don't think he was. I feel like Justin was like, look, I know I'm about to go, but can you cuff me real quick? And the cop was like, what? It's like, can you cuff me real quick? Like, just, you know, There's gonna be people waiting out there. Can you cuff me real quick? And he's like, I don't even know you. Like, please just do it. He's like, I'm not gonna do that, but I'll just stand in front of the door, hold the door open. He was like, okay, all right. And then he walked out, and if you look at the thing, he's got his hands clasped together, but you don't see any like loose chain dangling. And when you zoom into the picture, it looked like a little bit of leather on that. Like, that's a bracelet. That's a bracelet. But then JT over here doing his best Malcolm X impression. My man. Another black man locked up. Oh. Yeah. Actually, okay. Did y'all see? Did y'all see the white woman that got in trouble for saying the N-word? I know you said which one. Okay, fair enough. Okay. I say the because this was the for me. It's like other people were saying it, people were saying it all the time, but this one felt especially crazy, so I followed the story because it is captivating. Okay, so basically, where do I even start? There's a thing called trad wife. Now, trad wife is short for traditional wife, right? Trad wife is like this content thing that they do on TikTok. It's spilled over to Instagram a little bit, and it's basically women doing like stuff around the house while telling women to be better women, right? It's just like, why don't you be a lady while she makes a pie or something? I don't get it. It's not for me. I'm not who watches it. But basically, there was this young white woman that was over here cooking something. It didn't look done. And maybe it was done. Maybe she's bad at it. I don't know. But it did not look done. But then she's talking about her friends, and then she says, because then some of my friends out here are just like, out here dating these guys, and broke ass niggas, right? And she says it without missing a beat. She says it like you're not gonna hear it, right? So then, of course, everyone who saw this, like, it started this frenzy online, right? And so there were all these people, she did on TikTok, there was all these people commenting, replying, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? Are you trolling? All stuff like that, right? And then she makes another video, and she's like, look, I made a video earlier that offended a community or something, and like, and I've really listened to the feedback, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really give a care. Like, I don't know. It's like, so then they found her job, right? Which is crazy because you a trad wife. Why you working? Why? You know what I mean? Why are you're supposed to be a traditional wife. Why are you working at all? You can't trad wife on the side. You can't. There's no such thing as halfway crooks. You know what I mean? You gotta be all in or all out, right? And so then they found her job, then they got her fired from her job, right? So then everyone was like talking about how, she clearly got fired, even though they don't say her name. They issued a press release, because why else would they do it? And they were like, yeah, a certain individual's not working here anymore. So then she starts trying to cozy up to like, Newsmax and like One Nation News and just a lot of the alt-right on Twitter and everything. And she takes this spin of like, I was canceled, right? So she gets on Newsmax real quick, but she also just doesn't quite have the juice. You know what I mean by that? She doesn't quite have the presence and the energy of like a real racist is gonna be a newscaster. You know what I mean? Like, she just doesn't have it. Like, when you're watching her, you're like, she's saying bad things and they're annoying, but I'm not angry. She just doesn't have the oomph to get me there. You know what I mean? Like, I've just never seen diet racism before, but that was it. So then she makes more videos trying to double down harder. And in these upcoming videos, she just gets way worse with it. Gets like even more bigoted with it. So she's tweeting the N-word all the time. She's been tweeting the N-word nonstop since she got fired, right? And now she's making videos where she's saying the F-word, right? And so she's just going after everybody, just trying to prove how terrible that she is, right? And so then she starts trying to cozy up to a lot of these, like, especially neo-Nazis as much as she can. And then a turn takes place. An incredible turn that I could not not have predicted? One of the most insane things that has maybe happened so far this century, the neo-Nazis start rejecting her as a psyop. Because they feel what I feel. They see the video and they're like, you don't mean it though. Like, it's not... It's not like coming out of your stomach, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, you're not even saying it with bass, you know? Like, you know, like, and so then they were like, no, don't trust her, okay? Don't listen to her, don't follow her. She working for the CIA, she probably a Fed. They all turned on her. They started bullying her. It was absolutely insane. It was one of those things where then she keeps trying to cozy up to him. She keeps trying to like take pictures with him. She's going to events and stuff like that. And some of the ones that roll with her are rolling with her in real time, you know? And they're like making fun of how other people are making fun of her, but you can tell she's still not like in yet, you know? She's not like with them hard. But then there are some people that can't stand her so much. This happened like a week ago. So in the course of 3 days, they can't stand her so much that they start digging up her old tweets, right? So then another thing I never would have seen coming, they dig up her old tweets and they find old, not racist tweets from like 2 years ago where she was telling somebody, hey, that's actually appropriation. You might not want to do that. And so now she getting canceled by the neo-Nazis for old, not racist tweets. So then she over here fighting for her life, trying like N-word, F-word, everything, just throwing it all out there, trying to see what sticks. And then other people will comment under her on Twitter like, is this you, bitch? Miss Stolen Land? You know? And she just played it. She played it poorly. That's what happened. She could have had a real shot. She could have. But she doesn't have enough of the real. You can tell she's not really racist. I know it's a weird thing to say about somebody who's been saying the N-word nonstop for a week, but you can just tell she doesn't have the fire in her. You know? That's not how you do it. You were making racist people uncomfortable. There were racist people commenting under her like, this is uncouth. That's not how you do it. If you really want to be somebody as a racist, if you really want to make waves as a bigot, you start out slow. You start with a bunch of slow and steady dog whistles over decades. You know what I mean? You never say the word outright. You throw out a thug here every once in a while. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, like on a holiday, you can get real crazy with it. You can do like a animals or something. It's like, get people going, you know? Plant your feet, but don't dig too deep. And then after a while, you know, you start to ingratiate yourself. They start to be like, hey, she's one of us. And then they bring you in, and maybe they bring you in on a temporary basis, and they give you like a little guest spot every now and again. And then after a couple decades, you get a hosting gig, you know? Because be honest, like if a week from now, Megyn Kelly said the N-word, we'd be like, yup. We expected that. She's been earning it over decades. The expectation lands right on the strip perfectly. And then we also find out that she might be single, so you're not only not a trap wife, you're not a wife. What are you doing? Where's your man right now? Like you weren't a trap wife. You were working. You were a mom, but you were working, and you're a single working mom. That's a bigger demographic to appeal to. She really put herself in the position where she really needs a husband like this. In all the years he's been on the show, Maury has never fucked up a black name. Shit. Over 20 years on the air. Dontwavius? Says it like it's nothing. I'll mess up the name in my head. I'll be like, that's not even a word. That can't be a name. Maury will just sit there unfazed. They'll put the baby on the screen. You know, like, the show been on long enough that now, even in our DNA, we know we shouldn't be on Maury. So even the baby look embarrassed to be on Maury. Like, even the baby, like, it's not my fault. And I'll see the screen below the name, and I'll be like, is that a 2 in that nigga's name? And then Maury, without even missing a beat, will like, when it comes to the case of 6-month-old Twain, I'm like, wow! He said it with his full chest. No ums, no uhs. Wow. Have y'all used Threads yet? Okay, a couple woos. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. It seems okay. You know what I mean? It seems like what the old internet used to be. You remember that old like AOL text type? That's what it feels like. I just can't wait for Threads to become a dating app. Because that's what happens. Like, men are too horny and nasty not to turn everything into a dating app eventually. Anything with DMs becomes a dating app almost instantaneously. It's crazy. Men will turn Uber Eats into a dating app. We'll be like, we'll get the pizza delivered and be, if she cute, you like, I got a whole pizza if you want to hang out for a little while. Like, dudes turned the phone into a dating app before dating apps. A lot of people don't know about it. So, in March 7th of 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was given the patent for the telephone. But they don't put it in the history books that on March 8th of 1876 was the first time somebody made a phone call and was like, what the fuck you wearing, bitch? And what color are those pantaloons? Oh, they're beige? Oh, you little trollop. Yeah, what color? I don't know. Whenever Tupac was murdered, it really was like Black Elvis. Like, we couldn't accept it. We were like, no, he went to Cuba because they was looking for him. Not likely, all right. But we never did that with Biggie. You notice that? Tupac and Biggie got shot within months of each other. And Tupac were like, no, he gonna come back one day. And Biggie, we were like, yeah, that checks out. That's wild. I can't help but think it's because Biggie was heavy. I think deep down we know if it wasn't the bullets, it would have been butter. You know what I mean? Like, Biggie was not long for this one. It was gonna be the streets or the kitchen. One of them was coming for Biggie. You know? Just popped in my head this week. Sometimes you just have memories of when you were little for no reason. I've been thinking about my life and thinking about growing up and stuff, and I just had this thing. From when I was a little kid, I went to the grocery store with my grandma, and this was not a good grocery store. We didn't have it like that, so it was a discount grocery store, and it was pretty bad. Like, it was one of the ones where you go in and the meat is $3. But then when you ask what type of meat it is, the butcher be like, why you asking all these questions, dog? Like, just take it or don't take it. And I don't know how to describe it, but there's a weird thing that when you're in a bad situation, but you're used to it, just feels normal, you know? And so I was hanging out with my grandma, we were walking, she was putting stuff in the cart and everything, and then we heard an argument that turned into a fight on the other aisle, right? And it's loud, and they're knocking stuff over off the shelves and stuff, and they're screaming at each other, and one of them's like, you don't get out my face, I'll shoot you. Yeah, like, nothing you want to be a part of. And I saw my grandma turning down to go down that aisle. And I'm 6 years old, but I'm like, Grandma, do we really need to? And she like, I need the bread. They not fighting me, all right? And
The night before I went to the grocery store with my grandma, I was at home and I was watching TV, and because we didn't have a ton of money growing up, cable was a luxury, and it was a luxury that my mom had at time, because she wanted to give me what other kids had, but she just knew she couldn't really give it to me all the time. So we had to plan cable. So my mom, we would have it for 3 months, not have it for 6, you know. My mom would sit me down and be like, all right, so you gonna see the beginning of the season of Friends. But you're gonna have to find out about Ross and Rachel from word of mouth, all right? And so I remember this night was special because everyone had gone to bed without sending me to bed. So I'm 6 years old and I'm just up late. Everybody's asleep. I got control of the remote. This is crazy. I'm about to watch whatever comes on late. This is wild. So I was flipping channels and stuff, and in my head I'm like, if I don't keep it too loud, nobody will even notice. I can watch whatever I want. This is amazing. And when you're little, you're just excited for it to be late because you just never experienced late before. Like I was just running around like 2 a.m., 2 a.m., 2 a.m., 2 a.m., 2 a.m., right? So I remember I was flipping channels and I landed on Night of the Living Dead. And I watched Night of the Living Dead at 6 years old, which is far too young for me because I don't even know about real life yet. So I don't know if this stuff can happen or not. Side note, I found out years later, back in the day when they were making horror movies, like the early horror movies, their prosthetics weren't that good. So if you got hired to be a zombie, you were just ugly. Like that's... There's a little history tidbit for you. Anyway, I'm watching it, and it's terrifying. This is crazy. I was like, this is a bad idea. I can see why they sent me to bed. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. This is crazy. So I went to bed, and then, you know, next day, wake up, go with my grandma to the grocery store, and as she's about to turn the aisle, we hear like a scream and a big loud thud, and then silence. And I was like, Grandma, are you sure that we want to turn this corner? Because he said I'm going to shoot anybody in my face, and if we turn the corner, we're going to be in his face. What if he misses the person he aiming at, you know? It's like, boy, come on. And so then what we would find out later, what was actually happening, was there was a fight between two dudes in wheelchairs. That's why it was such a ruckus and everything was getting knocked over, because they get knocked over, they got to roll back up. Punch. And so the thud that we heard was the finishing move from the first guy, because what he did, they had been scuffling and knocking stuff over with their chairs and everything, and then finally he just grabbed that dude by the collar and threw him out his chair. And so when we turn the corner, all we see is just a bunch of bread and rice on the ground. That dude done rolled off already. And so the only thing that I see coming at me is a dude with no legs crawling like this. So I'm like, my grandma would grab me and pull me to the other aisle. She was like, boy, what is wrong with you? That is an amputee. You need to have some damn compassion. And I told her, I was like, Grandma, I don't know what an amputee is, but that nigga is a zombie, all right? I do wonder, and this is a genuine question. I'm being sincere. This isn't like, I'm not going to make fun of you or anything. Does anyone here believe in aliens? Okay. So, this is my thing. I believed in aliens so hard when I was little. Like, when I was a little kid, I was like, it's just us in the whole universe? Come on, really? Just us. A whole universe. That seems wild, right? And then as I get older, it's becoming harder for me to believe in aliens, because especially after everything up until 2023, it's hard to believe in aliens because Trump didn't mention it while he was president. Like that man told every secret. Anything they told him, he told us in an hour. Like they would be in the room with this man and be like, "You're not gonna tell anybody, right?" And he's like, "No." And then he leaves and he's like, "Folks," like that was.
He could not keep a secret at all. He had the leakiest White House of all time. And he never mentioned aliens, so now I'm like, maybe not. I don't know what to tell you. It's a tough one. For the people who believe in aliens, once again, I'm being sincere, I wonder if aliens haven't made broad daylight obvious contact with us because they think we're boring, or because they've seen how we treat each other. Do you know what I mean? Like if I was an alien above Earth looking down all this time, I'd be like, oof, they don't even like when you have different skin. And I got 3 dicks, so they gonna kill me immediately, just out of jealousy if nothing else. God damn, might as well stay up here where it's safe. Oof. I feel this is a weird thing. I respect that people have to be like choosy when they're dating, and sometimes you have to make choices based off, like you get a little inkling of a thing and you call it a red flag, or because you're like, I know how it's gonna go after that. And sometimes people are overly harsh about that, but it's necessary, you know? Like I think about my friend, I went to a club with my buddy and he had a full like almost rom-com experience. He saw this woman across the club, truly across the club. He was like, the light was just shining on her a little extra, you know? So then my man made his way over, and it was almost like the dance floor was parting as he was walking over to her. And then he gets up to her, he lays his thickest game on that he has. He's like, hey, how you doing? You know, mind if I buy you a drink or something? And she turns around and looks him up and down and goes, no. Nah, that's not what we doing. And he tries one more time. He's like, why can't I buy you a drink? Get to know you. We might like each other. And she looks him up and down again and she goes, your shoes. Which I know, that sounds super vapid. That's wild. It sounds really materialistic, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm on her side. Because when he looked down, both his shoes were untied. And it's like, yeah, bro, how did you... There's no better way to walk up to a woman and be like, you have to take care of me eventually, than to have both your shoes untied when you approach the conversation. How'd you even make it over without tripping? It's crazy. Dude, one shoe could happen to anybody. Both shoes hasn't happened since the 3rd grade, all right? If you approach a woman with both your shoes untied, you might as well walk up with a glass of milk in one hand and a cookie in the other. Talking about, you want to be friends? Because that's what the fuck you look like with both your shoes untied. It's insane. I was watching a movie this week. Have you heard of Downfall? Anybody? Okay. It's a German movie, and it's about the last 10, 12 days of like Hitler and the Third Reich. It was like when they were losing the war, and it's from the account of the secretary that was in the bunker, of just like, you know, Hitler was freaking out and everything. And it got me to thinking, like, how do you contend with the idea that there's a higher power while watching all of the horrible stuff that happened around the world in World War II? It's like the worst atrocities against humanity happen, but also there's supposed to be this higher power that's fully in control and everything. And people talk about if they could go back in time, they'd kill baby Hitler and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, yeah. But if I was God, I think I would have just given Hitler a real high voice. Ain't nobody following him then. If that dude rock up and be like, listen to me. There's something happening in the fatherland that must be stopped. I don't even think you let that dude work fast food. You'd be like, nah, that voice too annoying. You're like, listen to me about the Jews. It's like, no.
I worry about family. I worry about my cousin because he an idiot. He is. My cousin is wild. So my cousin joined a cult, right? I know, which is a big deal for that cult because they don't get a lot of us. You know what I mean? Like they were so excited to have a black friend. That was crazy. They were like, and I remember somebody told me to join the cult, and so I went ahead and looked it up. You know, because I'm worried about my cousin. I want him to be all right. I look it up, and I could tell he was in danger because the website was trash. It was like, I was like, Comic Sans, he is in danger. All right, this is terrible. They really crazy out here. That's wild. Broken link 404 not found. Oh Lord, they might already did it. Okay. And so basically, I went ahead and was talking to him. In my mind, the best thing to do was just go ahead and go to one of his meetings with him. Because the thing that cults do is that they create a shared language and a shared experience that no one outside the cult can actually understand or participate in unless they're in it. So then when you tell your friends and family about it, they look at you skeptical. They just don't understand because they weren't there, right? But if they come there with you, like if I show up with him and hear the dude preaching and just turn to him like, nigga, like, that might break it. And so I went there, and it was this weird house and everything. And I sat down, and including me in the room, the whole cult congregation was 4 people. And I was like, this is not a cult at all. Y'all just 2 idiots doing a guy favors. This is not, your cult can't even move a pool table. What are you doing?
I don't know if y'all remember this, but back in the day, before the pandemic, they were talking about putting Harriet Tubman on like the 20 or something. I don't even remember what bill it was. And it was like, everyone had an opinion immediately. There were people who thought it was great. There were people who didn't care. And, you know, a little bit, and then it turns out they cared. You know? And then there were people that were like, no, we can't have this happen. You know? And then Mnuchin said he'd block it, and he did. You know? So it never happened. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I need Harriet on the 20. What bothers me the most is how is Harriet Tubman not had her own sneaker yet? Like that seems, you know what I mean? Think about it. Who is more deserving of a sneaker deal throughout all the history of America than Harriet Tubman? Come on. If you don't know who Harriet Tubman is, she was the LeBron of escaped slaves, okay? She was putting up numbers. She got a lot of the people to freedom. Buckets. That would have been a motherfucker to be a slave owner while Harriet was around. You come outside, ain't nobody there. You're like... The commercial writes itself. It does. You know, I just beat the Golden State Warriors in my new Adidas Maxes. And it's like, oh, I ran to freedom. How about that? How do you beat that shoe? You don't.
I love visiting my white friends because they always got new pets. They always got new pets they think are normal. Cause like we all read fairy tales and stuff. We were little. We all watched the Jungle Book. I don't know what was happening. I was raised by black people, so I have no idea what was happening in white households. But I feel like there were extra chapters in those books because white people really out here thinking every animal is their friend. Like that's, dude. White communion with nature is like almost upsetting. It's like. And I went over to my buddy's house and something hit me in my face, like real hard. And I thought it was a garbage bag, right? And I was like, it's not even air conditioning here for a garbage bag to be floating around. So I was like, and it was loud too. Like it hit me like, and then I turned around, I was like, what was that? He's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I got a bat. You got a what? He's like, no, I got a bat. I'm like, where, what? What the
the fuck you live in a studio? You have a bat? Where's it even sleep? And he's like, Josh, it sleeps in the closet. He answered me like I was being unreasonable. He's like, Josh, it sleeps in the closet. That's insane. It really is. I got another buddy. He got his dog. This is the oldest dog I've ever seen in my life. This dog, 22. It's so old. You know how when dogs get old enough, their bark change? This dog bark like, bark. It's half scream, half a bark. The dog is so old, it got human problems. So we take the dog to the vet and be like, oh yeah, his psoriasis acting up. God damn. Where the fuck does that happen? And then the vet like, yeah, he's got a little bit of dementia. I'm like, dementia? This dog gonna be meowing in 3 days. That's crazy as hell. That dog went, bark, bark, meow. And it's crazy too because because his back legs, he didn't even have an accident. His back legs just done being legs. Like his back legs are like, bro, we 22. Like we are 6,000 in dog years. It's done. And so then they got him the wheelchair for dogs. You know what I mean? The wheelchair. But then he don't really know how to use it, so he adjusts it. But now he can finally like really run again because it's wheel powered now. And so now he be running, but then can't fully control where he going. So then he'll be turning, and the shit look like Tokyo Drift. It's the dopest. It's the dopest shit I've ever seen because the dog will get excited and start running, and they're like, no, nothing for you. It's just crazy because like when you like, okay, this is where you won't like me anymore. At least with dogs, there's like that could be your best friend, but you can see, oh, okay, they don't have a quality of life that is not good, so I'm gonna go ahead and take them to the vet and put them down and everything. And nobody wants to do that. It's a horrible thing. Like I've had to do it for a pup before, and it's very sad. But it is like, I think it should go the other way. Because every man in here got a boy where you like, he don't have no quality of life. Steve life in shambles, all right? Sheila left him, she not coming back. She happier now that she don't have him. So I think I gotta put my boy down. You take Steve to Disneyland and you just having a great day, you like, all right. I know. We caught you. I'll be vulnerable for a second. I thought I had it all figured out, I was sexting. And sexting's a very precarious situation. You want to make sure you're sexting at the right time, Because if it's like 8 o'clock, you still got other people texting you, You don't want to accidentally send a text that's incoming to somebody because you opened the thing. And it's also like, what if you're not that skilled? Like, what if I'm not good texting with just my left hand? Now you texting typos and stuff. It's knocking the sexy right out of your sexting. It's like, I'm gonna fud your bass. It's like, nobody's into it now. So I had an idea. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I didn't talk to anybody about it. I had never heard anybody doing this, but in my mind, it was the best thing to do. I was like, I'm just gonna speak to text. So that way, I don't gotta worry about the other hand and everything, and I can just like get in the zone and stuff. I don't have to worry about other people texting me and everything. And it went horribly wrong. Because I wasn't at home.
I was at my childhood home. So I was in my room, but it wasn't my house, you know? And it was, 9 o'clock or so, and we were sexted. Look, I'll read you the thing right now. This is what. Okay. All right. So she's like, "Oh, okay. And what's good? What would you do if you were here right now?" And then I was like, "Girl, I would tear those clothes off. And Mom, what are you doing in here?" Mom, I had the door closed. You can't just open the door. I was just coming to see if you wanted dinner. No, I'm okay. Mom, get out right now. Boy, how you gonna tell me to get out somewhere in my house? I'm sorry, Mom, please, can you please leave and close the door? You know we don't have closed doors in this house. Which is true, that's a very black family thing of you not closing the door in my house, what you up to in there? And I was like, Mama, please leave, please, please leave. And she was like, all right, what's the big deal? I was like, nothing, Mom, just please, please get out of here. So anyway, girl, I would say... All right, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great night.
Oh, that was so funny.